Hello, this is Fatima from easyautomationlabs, and this is our 10th class of QA. And in this class, we will learn our basic functionalities in SDLC, such as epics and test cases, test scenarios. Basically, we will learn how to write them with and without the help of ChatGPT or other AI tools. And so let's start with our basic three functionalities, which is first one will be epic, and second one is test cases, and sorry, test scenarios, and then test case. Okay, because test steps will be based on the test cases that we are going to write. And so in our confluence, we have seen this feature which is called epic many times, but I haven't discussed about it, what is it and how it works and what exactly it means in SDLC. Okay, so as you can see in here, we have epics, and there are one, two, and three epics. You can see that, and three epics holds for three different functionalities. Alright, so let's start with our epic. And before starting this, I'm going to be discussing about our chat GPT and AI, uses of AI in creating these important and really sensitive functionalities, because these are the only things that we are going to be working on, because developers are the one who's going to be creating the software, and we are the one who's going to be testing the part. Because if we mess anything while testing the software, so that's going to be creating a huge issue afterwards. So let's say we have received 2 to 3 features from the developers, but while they were creating the features in the sprint, we wrote some test cases, and we obviously took help from ChatGPT. All right. So, what did ChatGPT do? So, let's say I told him that, hey, we are working on a software, a beauty software. So, let's say where we will be selling our beauty products, and can you give me some test cases on based on this specific part? So let's say you give him a topic, and you tell him to give you some epics and other parts, such as test scenarios and test cases. So what he's going to do, obviously he's going to be giving you a very refined, very beautiful, really nice, well aligned epics and their test scenarios as well as test cases. All right. So he will give you, uh, as you ask him to give you the information, and he will give you the answer. And what you're going to do, you will follow him, and you will write your test cases, write your test steps based on um, the answers that ChatGPT or other AI tool gave you. And now, let's say while you wrote down everything in Excel, following ChatGPT. You did not use any of your brain or any of your creativity in that part. So after, let's say after getting the feature for testing, after developer created it, now you are going to be see that it's not matching with this feature that has been created. All right, because you will be given a specific time to write your test cases, test scenarios, test steps. Okay, so if you do not if you do not use your creativity, and if you do not focus on using your own time in creating those basic functionalities, you will be in trouble if you see that some of your test cases or some of your test scenarios isn't matching with the requirement or the feature that has been created. All right, but you can obviously use the AI to use, or you can take help from them. Obviously, of course, you can take help from them, but in order to do that, but from scratch, you have to start that. All right, before asking any AI tool to give you the complete answer of your problem, you have to start with it. All right, you can take help from them to give you a well balanced answer. of what you're looking for, but you have to start, and you have to find out, and you have to start working on that at first from scratch. All right. So obviously, we have to focus on what we are going to be testing, and we will obviously take help from ChatGPT, other AI tools. But in start, we must use our creativity, and we will obviously put our work, put our time in that. We will. Our main focus will be on the requirement that have been given to us, and we will work on that at first. All right. So in this picture, we can see we have many user stories. All right, we have many user stories, and let me ask you something. Uh, User stories. So let's say we can see here we have 7 user stories. All right. So 7 user stories for that. In that part, okay. In this user story, I can see only the login feature is standing on this user story, but I don't think we are seeing any registration or security changes, we can say, security part. And after this login part, we can see the check balance, yeah, and then we have our deposit, but also we can have withdraw cash, okay. And then we have our transfer money, and then we have our logout. All right. So but let's say user stories, how user stories work and how epics work. Okay, let's say the first 3 user story will belong to one single epic, under one single epic. So now let me the answer to what is epic. Okay, so in software testing lifecycle, STLC, the term epic is an important term because um, it have specific meaning in the context of software development, SDLC. So it is not the we cannot make confusion with others, such as user stories and epics are the same, test scenarios are the same. Okay, so an epic is a high level large user story. Okay, large, why I said that, I said that because these 3 user stories will belong to a single epic. So I can say that epic is a large user story that highlights a significant piece of functionality. Okay, so that obviously so let's say for login or login, registration, and putting down your credentials for opening an account can be 3 user stories for one epic. Okay, so this is a major feature. In order to run your website, you must want your end users to register in your system, then open their account, and then putting down their credentials such as their names, password, emails. Okay, so this belongs to a major feature of this system. Okay, and for better understanding, epic is a broken down it is epic it is broken down into smaller manageable tasks, okay, or user stories for development and testing purposes. All right, okay. And then so let's say let's write down an epic from here, and our the epic, let's give it a name, epic 1. Okay, and let's name him user authentication. Okay, and in this epic there will be 3 user stories. All right, or let's say 2 user stories, because there are mainly 2 functionalities for user authentication, such as registration and login, or login and putting credentials. So let's go the first story. User story 1 will be as a user I should be able to register. Oh, sorry. I should be able to register using an email, okay? Because it basically needs your name, your password, and another important thing is your email, okay? And let's write down the second user story for our user authentication epic. As a user, I should be able to log in with a valid username and password. Okay, so we can write other user stories if you want, but for this epic we are writing to, it depends on how many functionalities we want to add in our epic. And or it will be another thing that is after that, after we have received our product backlog. And product backlog is mainly a bunch of user stories, and what are we going to be working with, how are we going to be working on them, such as, let's say, in a product backlog there are 50 user stories, and for development purpose, the user stories will be, prioritized based on their importance. And let's say for the first sprint, 10 user stories will be taken, okay? 10 user stories will be decided, will be prioritized and will be listed for sprint number 1. All right, so that's how it works. And those 10, let's say 10 user stories, I have 10 user stories, and I can distribute those 10 user stories to 5 user stories to epic 1, and another 5 user stories to epic 2. So let's say this part is for user authentication, and so let's say this part is for after logging into that account. There are many functionalities such as add to cart, search, and then we have buy now, and then we have options such as the product listing. We have so many features to add. So let's say we have created 5 user stories based on that, and we will add those in our epic 2. Okay, website. So yeah, so that's how epic and user stories work. All right, and then let's read the first user stories from this one. As a customer, I want to log into my account using card and PIN code so that I can perform the transactions. Okay, and another important, really important thing is to focus on, which is acceptance criteria. What is acceptance criteria? If it is a functionality that we must follow in order to meet our requirement. If our if our feature or if our testing process is not matching with the acceptance criteria, then our testing process will completely go fail. Okay, all right, okay. And now I'm going to give you an example in Excel. All right. Okay. So here I can see that uh, I have created sections based on our epics, such as test scenario, and then we have the user story ID and user story status acceptance criteria. And we have also here, this one is for later, and then let's start with this one. Okay. Sorry, it's a typo mistake. Okay, so first one will be our epic. Okay, so now let's say I am going to, not I, we are in a team and we will make a software for, let's say we are going to make an ATM software or ATM booth software for ATM booth, and we are going to be writing down each specific part of the ATM booth, and we will first notify, or we will first point out the main epics, and then we will write down our descriptions, and we will write down our test scenarios, user story ID, user story status, and acceptance criteria. Okay, so let's start with this one. All right. Okay, so the first one in our ATM booth will be, we have to write our epics at first. And let's start with the functionalities of an ATM booth. And I hope we have all of us have used ATM in our life, and we know how it works. First, we have to go to the ATM booth, then we check if the ATM booth is working or not, and we check if the slot is working or not, and we check if the screen is the system is working or not. Okay, the display is working or not. And then what are we going to do? We will first put down our card, we will put down our pin code, and then we will check the options, whether we are going to withdraw money or whether we are going to be um, um, we are going to be, checking our balance or not. All right, or we are going to be deposit any money in our account or not. All right, and so that's, yeah, so let's, the first one we will be discussing, or we will be putting our in our epic will be withdrawal, withdraw money. Okay, why? Because this is an important functionality of um, in order to create a software for ATM booth, we have to check the benefits of our business as well. Okay, so that's how the most of the businesses work. If we want to create something, we will be start our development with a feature that will benefit us as soon as we land that in the market. Okay, so that should be the priority number one, and that should be made at first. Okay, so the first epic is withdraw money. All right, so I'm just not gonna write withdraw money, because I have to write the full summary. Okay, so yeah, so let's write it down as as a let me zoom it out, as a user. No, not a user, I'm not writing a user story. A user should withdraw withdraw money from an ATM booth so that they can easily use it anytime, and the fund transfer from bank can be easier and smooth. Okay, so this is our epic. This will be our epic. If you are thinking of writing just a single line, that's not gonna work because we have to write down the whole requirement of this specific feature. So yeah, that's how it is. But you can, if you are really working on a software, then you can, put a side note and you can just write down withdraw money. First epic will be withdraw money. Second epic will be system, if the display is working or not. You can also write it down for your better understanding. But if we are trying to learn the professional way of how we are actually going to be writing everything in a job or in a workplace, all right? And this is an epic, and another epic can be as this was the most important part, and so um, the second epic will be checking balance. All right, checking balance. All right, so yeah, and so let's say you are going to the ATM booth to withdraw some cash. So you need to also check how many um, cash you have left in your account, right? So yeah, this is also an important functionality of our ATM software. So yeah, so this one is another epic. So let's write it down. A user should check balance from an ATM booth so that they can get information regarding their balance, so that I know how much cash I have left and how much should I exactly deposit from my account. Okay, without knowing, if I put down I need 5,000 right now, then they cannot give me. Or let's say I have 3,000 in my account and I am putting down 5,000 in my withdrawal part, so that's not gonna happen. That's gonna put down an error. Their balance anytime easily. Okay, so that was another epic, and let's write the third epic. Okay, let's say, and let's say your card is broken, or your card is not valid anymore, or let's say you are using a different card. Let's say you are using a card from a different bank. All right, so there can be many functionalities why your card could not work, or why your card can be declined while withdrawal or depositing your money from an ATM booth. So yeah, we can write down many scenarios, many test cases based on that. So that is another epic. Okay, card is working or not. All right, okay, and then we have now another thing is that I want to change my security. Let's say I want to change the PIN. Okay, so in order to change your PIN, you need to change your you need to be, put down your phone, put down your email and other necessary infos that they're going to be needing. Okay, it depends on different companies, different banks, how many credentials or what type of credentials they're asking in order to open an account and customize your account. All right, so yeah, you will be able to change the security system of your account. Okay, So this is another important epic, security information. So let's say why I'm writing information is that security information will hold your number, your name, your address, and most importantly your pin code. Okay. And then another important is that we have wrote down withdraw at first, but we did not write down our deposit section. Cash deposit. In order to deposit, you must undergo a lot of steps. So we can write down many test scenarios, user stories, and test cases, test steps as well. Okay. And also, whenever we are trying to withdraw from any bank, any ATM booth, they ask us for a fee that is called withdrawal fee. Okay. Check the withdrawal fee. All right. And then these are the epics, and yeah, the description will be really big as I am going to be focusing on our important functionalities, so I will be leaving this down. But whenever you are working in a workplace, you must have to describe how this epic, how it is an epic, and how we can write down, how we can break it down to many pieces. So you have to write down everything in the description, okay? And how it is the number one priority, and why we chose this from our user story, all right? Okay. All right, so we will now write down test scenarios of our withdrawal. Okay, give me a moment. Okay. Let's write our first one. Okay, so how can we break it down? How can we break down our uh, withdraw money epic to menu form? Okay, so what are we going to do when we want to withdraw something from our ATM? All right. Okay. So what do we do at first? We go to the ATM booth. Let's say we go to the ATM booth, and then what do? We first check if the system is working or not. If the system is closed, or if the system is having some issues, technical issues, we obviously cannot use that ATM right at the moment. All right. So what are we going to do? We have to check if the system is working or not. Okay. So let's say the first condition for our withdrawal money or any other option is that we have to check if the system or display. Okay, the first one is alright. So we will first check if our system is working or not, and then what we're going to do, we will uh, put down our card into the slot. Okay, so let's say when we are putting down our card into the slot machine, if it's pulling down, if it's pulling the card or not, so that is also a functionality. So let's say so our second one will be card insertion. port. Card insertion port. And then we have let's say after putting down our card, what does it ask us? It asks us immediately to give us our pin code. Okay, so let's say pin code verification, and then we have uh, as we are working on our withdrawal, we are not checking our balance, so we will not be putting it down. So let's write down withdrawal option selection, and then we have at number 5 how much amount you are going to withdraw from your account. The amount exactly. Amount in in insertion option. All right. Okay. Yeah. This was our test scenarios for epic number 1, and we will write down our user stories, and we will also write down status and acceptance criteria as well. All right. And now that we have our test scenarios, 5 important test scenarios, and now it is time, before writing down the user stories, it is time to write down our test cases and test steps important. So let's go to another sheet, and let's copy down one by one. Let's copy down one by one. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Let's divide it into 2 parts, and we have let's name it mm, oh sorry. Yeah, so these are test scenarios. Test scenarios. Let's try to color it up. Oh sorry, not the, yeah. And this one is test cases. Sorry. Test steps. All right. So the first test case will for the first one is that for the system display. Okay. So when we are trying to make our system or display feature. First, what is we are going to check, and as we are thinking as end user ourselves, so what we're going to check, what are we going to do? So in order to check if the system, or sorry, if the display is working or not, and then what we are going to see is that the power is on or not. If the power is not on, then obviously the display will be the display won't show or pop up in the ATM booth. Okay, so the power must have to be on, so that's the first condition to pop up the display in front of us. All right, so the first one will be power. Okay, and once we see that the display is working, the power is on, the next thing we are going to check if any advertisement poster is popping at the display or not. Ad running. And then what are we going to do? So let's say you were able to open the display, you were able to remove the advertisement from your display by somehow, or you took someone's help from in the ATM booth. But when you have opened the display, you saw that it is showing you a sign that is saying out of service. That means you cannot, at the moment, you cannot use that ATM booth. So let's write it down, out of service. And then these are all test cases that I'm writing down. Okay, and then we have card insertion, obviously insertion, and then enter button, which is the important one because you have put down all your information. Unless you click on enter, nothing is going to happen. Enter button. All right, so test cases for our display will be these options. All right, and then let's write down card insertion. Give me a moment. Okay, for the card insertion, so let's say the first test case will be the slot is functional. I mean, the slot must be on working position in order to pull your card. All right, and after it has pulled down your card, it will immediately asking for your pin code in the display and asking for pin code in the display. All right, and then we have you know, if your card is invalid, it will return your card. Okay, so that will also return you with an error message. Okay, is the card returning with error message? And then we must check if the card is readable. And then we have expired card obviously should not work. So let's say you did not put that functionality in your system that expired card will not work, or any other bank's card will not work in a specific bank. But if you did not put down that software, if you did not design it that way, then let's say someone put down a different card than it is, then another bank's card, then it immediately gives you no error message, or no verbal error message. It immediately accepts your card, so that is going to create a huge problem. Okay, expired card should not work. Okay, and then different bank card also. Okay, so these are the test cases. Okay, and this was for our card insertion port, and for the card insertion I'm going to write down test steps for this part. Okay, so the first test step will be, sorry, so the first step, yeah, verify the card slot readiness, if the card slot is ready or not. Okay, and then we have insert a valid card into the slot. Oh no, sorry. And then, oh no. And then in number 3 we have, so let's give you another okay, so what is test steps? From test cases we have to write down every possible functionalities that can come out of a test case. So let's say you want to play a game. Okay, so you have to win the game, and in order to win the game there are 100 possible ways of winning the game, but you do not know how. But if you put down, if you work on it, if you analyze it very well, then you will be able to find out all the 100 types of options of winning that game. So in that case, in our STLC, we have to find out as many testing functionalities in a test case. I mean, in how many ways we can test a functionality, okay? How many steps there can be. Okay, so the third one is, once the card has been into the machine, if it could, you know, if it is giving me any response or not. Okay, so let's say ATM have received my card, and it will obviously give me a detection response. Okay, check the card detection response, and what should be the response? Processing your card. Okay, and then we have we will put down it in an incorrect orientation. So let's say in order you have to put it down the left way, but you put it down the right way or upside down, then it can create an error, and it will show you or return you immediately your card. Okay, so that will be verify card orientation handling. Okay, handling. And then we have, I'm trying to write as many test steps as I can, as it is possible for all test cases. All right, and then we have if we use a damage card, what will happen? Insert a damage card. The ATM will appropriately handle it, and obviously it will reject the card and display an error message. Okay, so insert a damage card and we will check what happens. And then we will put down a blocked card. Okay, and let's see what happens. Check card retention for blocked cards. Okay, so if I insert a blocked or blacklisted card, and we will see that the will ATM will show you in their display that their banking rules about if you have any blocked card, what are the rules for that. It will obviously show you in the display. Then what if you are working in the ATM booth and suddenly the power cuts? Okay, so that can also happen. Then what will happen if the power suddenly got cut? So ATM will be how an ATM will behave during a power failure when the card is partially or fully inserted. Okay, we also have to test that. So simulate power failure during card insertion. Okay, there are many more possibilities that I can write down test steps from this part, so I'm only writing down 7 test steps. Okay, and we can, yeah, these are the 7 test cases that we can write down, and we will also have expected results from it. Okay, for this part I'm going to be moving on to a different, more refined section here. So this was all for just understanding how we can write down epics and test, and then from test scenarios how we can write down. This one is only for epic 1. Okay, for this epic only. So I hope you can imagine how much or how big it's going to be when we write down everything. So that's the work of a tester. That's what testers do in a workplace. And we have to be very genuine with our work. And let's move on to another sheet. So yeah, this part. Now I'm not going to be talking about an ATM or anything else. I'm going to be talking about a software. So what happens if I want to if I want to create a software? Our first step will be the important part, which is registration, because I have already mentioned in our previous class many times, the the login functionality is really important and priority based. But if an end user cannot register, then how is he supposed to log in? All right. So yeah. But before that, I'm going to go to our Confluence and show you our, as we have already saw our epics many times, and also our BRD, BRSs, all these. So yeah, so the first epic will be, it was used for, registration, login, search, add to cart, and checkout. Okay, so these functionalities are in this first epic, and um, you know, uh, it is a detailed uh, form of this epic one. So let's say it's written that scopes to be tested, I mean what we have to test, and the also we have environment URLs for that, effort estimation report, and test strategy. All right, and test plan, also test plan for epic 1. So our first functionality or first topic is registration, and then we have login, and then search, add to cart, checkout and payment, and shopping cart. All right, okay, so now we will work based on that. Okay, yeah, okay, so we first have our, yeah, so first we have our registration. Also, I already wrote that down. Mm, so as this is our scenario, so no, this is not scenario. We will first write the epic. This is epic, and this one is the scenario. All right. So let's write down this portion here. Okay. As I already said, there will be a description for the epic that you are going to be making. You cannot only write down the registration in that part. So let's copy it here and put it here. Okay. Mhm. And wrap test. Yeah. Okay. But I still cannot see it, so let's change the size. Okay. And this is our epic and scenarios. Let's write down the scenarios. First scenario is register. No. Register. And then our second one is login. Then we have, oh no, sorry. We have search. Then we have add to cart. Check out payment. And we have shopping cart. All right. Yeah. Okay. Now let's write our test cases based on that. All right. Okay. And I told you that we have test plan document for each epic. So let's go to our test plan document for epic number 1. Okay, so that we can see the detailed information about register and other functionalities. But as I told you that in our product backlog, we have all sorts of user stories based on our functionalities that we're going to make. So here you can see that registration page, and it has all the user stories, and login page has all the user stories. And for wish list, as you can see here, I can see that wish list and add to cart, we don't have to create that, as it is second, it will be on second sprint, because it is not related to anything user authentication. So we are going to be left with these two part, and we will work on these major functionalities. All right. So if you go to product backlog and try to search out each one, you can see the user stories of this one, and this is the requirement ID. All right, this is the user story ID, and for this is not the requirement ID, this is the user story ID, and each user story has its own ID, and we won't go and check from the product backlog, as it contains all the product user stories from the complete sprint, because as we are told to handle only epic 1. So we will only go to test plan document, so that we can check everything that has been given to us for epic 1. All right. So in this part, you can see the user stories that we have to handle in this epic. All right. You can see the registration page. We have 6 user stories for registration page, and also we have the BRS. Okay. Ah, this one. Okay. And okay. And it immediately took me to BRS, business requirement specification, but we were here. And let's just move it from here one by one. Okay. So yeah, that is the first one, and then we have the second one. Okay. And the third one. All right, as you can see, it doesn't have the for the first one, it has the all sort of information, such as, you can see it is for the registration page, and yeah, the priority is P0. All right, I mean, it is on top priority. And let's see the scenarios. It has 2 scenarios, but it has only one acceptance criteria, because these 2 were based on this part. If these scenarios is matching or with this acceptance criteria, then it has reached, or it has fill out the requirement. All right. So the first registration, so the first user story is, let's yeah, no, not this one, our Excel, and not you. Yeah. Yeah, this one. Okay. So what do we have here? We have our user stories, and yeah, I did not write down the user story part. Let me make a quick. Okay, so for register, we will now create a user story and acceptance criteria. Yeah, okay. The first user story is for user registration. This one. That's not how it should work. Okay, so this is the first one. And the second one is now we will copy down the user stories and paste it here one by one. Okay, so let's copy the first user story. So let's copy the first user story and yeah, here. So this was our first user story, and for the second one, no, this one is the for the second part. I did some mistake. Sorry. This one will be in first user story. Yeah. So the first user story, before putting down our credentials, we have to check if the web page is loading or not, if the web page is incorrect or not, or if the web page is responding perfectly or not, in order to proceed with our registration, right? So yeah, uh, what we have to do first, we have to see in the user story region that I want to see clear instructions on the registration page that explain which fields are mandatory. I mean, which fields I have to fill it out. Like there could be some unimportant fields that I don't need to give information to, right? So I can only fill out, or I can only complete my registration with the necessary fields, okay? Now let's move on to the second user story, which is this one. And this user story belongs to the no, not the login. No. So I'm going to, this one is for login, and yeah, for login in this part. It always Control C only in this section. Yeah. And then for our third one, product catalog. No, not the product catalog. We have search. As you can see, it is empty, so that we only have to follow the test plan. For our yeah, for search, okay, and let's leave these out as these are not important. I have done two important parts, and the acceptance criteria, let's also, okay, so as the acceptance criteria is quite huge, that is why I'm making it big. For our first one, for the registration part, I can see this is the acceptance criteria. All right. Yeah. Okay. And no, that's fine. And for our login, we have, let's check our acceptance criteria for login is this part. You can also, if the Excel doesn't let you put down the bullet points, you can give that by yourself. Okay. Okay, and then search. We have for search in this part. Yeah. Okay, and let's write down our, yeah, let's go to test plan once again. And okay, let's discuss it one by one. Now we will be writing down our test cases. All right, for registration page, we will write our test cases. The first test case will be first test case is, obviously registration page has to load in order to proceed with registration. So registration, sorry, page should load perfectly. Then we have sorry, this is not perfectly, with the mandatory fields, because if I cannot see any mandatory fields where I have to fill out the information, I cannot register, obviously. So that will be with the mandatory fields, with the mandatory fields. Okay, then in our second test case will be, so all the fields that are needs to be filled, those fields should be those fields should be functional. So let's say for the password section, okay, if you put down or the email section, let's say email field, you have to put a valid email that is working. In order to confirm your registration, you have to use a valid email. So in your email field, if you put down an invalid or no longer in use, okay, so that can be an issue. Or so let's say in that field which is seeking for your email, it accepts an invalid email. What happens if it accepts an invalid email? Then you cannot continue with your registration without confirmation. All right, so that's an issue. So we must have to check if the fields are functional or not. So all the fields should be functional. Okay, and we have, after you have put down all your important information, what you're going to do, you have to enter the button to proceed with your registration. Okay, so if we have to check if that button is working or not. Okay, so let's write verify or assert create account button. All right, and then we have uh, user inputs the valid credentials, and after creating account he will be on the home page. What happens when you create an account on your on a software or on a web page? It immediately takes you to that software's home page. That's what happened, because home page is the first page of any software. All right, so we must test if this functionality is working or not. And then okay, so while creating the account, if he puts down any wrong information, like wrong credentials or wrong alphabets, wrong spelling, anything wrong that is not filling the requirement that is needed to fill out the fields, then it will obviously show an error message. All right, so let's write it down. Validate user gets error message with instruction. I mean, in which part he made a mistake and which part needs to be fixed. Instructions of correctly filling the fields while registration. Okay, I'm talking about this part actually. No, not this one. Yeah, as you can see, this is a part of the technical requirement. Okay, so when the user attempts to submit the registration form without filling out mandatory fields, an error message must be displayed explaining which fields are mandatory and how to fill them out correctly. This is for the before pulling down any information. All right, and we have sorry. Okay, and then our this part, as we are writing here, yeah, these are our test cases. Okay, and of course we know that it has a registration link, right, in our in this part environment based URLs we have our registration link. All right, sorry, in the dev environment URLs this is the registration page link. And let's write down our test cases at this point. Sorry, no, this one, test description. Yeah, let's write down the test description. But before that, let's write down our prerequisite. Prerequisite will be something that is required before writing the test case ID, and that will be given to us by the developers. All right, test data and prerequisite will be given to us by developers. All right, so let's put down the link in here. And yeah, and then test data. So for test data, what we have for in this part, but let's write down our test steps at first. Test steps will be the first one is no. So in order to register, we have to go to the registration page. Okay, so let's write navigate to the registration page. Then we have, and then after, what we're going to do, and we have also expected result for this one, and this the expected results, a result is web should load perfectly with mandatory fields. So this is our expected results. All the we will have many expected results for each test cases and each the test data based on that. And I made a mistake here, so yeah, give me a moment. And now we will write our test data. Okay, so the first test data will be so no, not the test data, test steps for this one. So as we have went through the registration page, now the second step is to mm, the second step will be click on name and type your name. Okay, and then we have click on email field and type your email. And then number 4, we have click on password field and put a password following instructions. Then we have you know click on retype uh, password and retype the password. And then number 6 will be click on confirm and click on confirm. This is it. So these can be the test steps, and let's say here was a mistake that I created. I have put down many test cases, but it will be as we are working for the web page. So the the first test case is called, wait a minute, test case and The first test case is we are navigating the web page, right? Everything is based on the web page that I just wrote down the test tips. So navigate the web page. Okay, and this is based on the first one, and let's make another column here. mm. Test case ID will be, for the first one is TC no TC underscore 01. Okay, and the test data we have, for test data, what are we going to be needing? We need a password and email. Okay, so these are the test data, and this is important because test data are given to the test lead, or the QA lead, or the testers who are under an epic. It will be given to him by the developers. All right. Okay. And then we also wrote down the expected results, and in expected results, as I have put down many things such as my name, email, and password. And the first expected result is web should load perfectly with mandatory fields, and second expected result will be um, your email should ask for a confirmation. Then after, if you click confirmation, then web page should take you to the home page of the software. All right, so also I can write down the actual results in here. And yeah, we have many more parts that we will learn about in our next classes, and that's how we can create the epic, and from those epic we can write down the scenarios, user stories, acceptance criteria, and other mm, important functionalities of a software. All right, so that's how the epic is made, and its other functionalities, such as test case, which was really important, and test steps as well, and test data. So that these will be, we can we can take help from, obviously, from ChatGPT. And but as you can see, everything here we did so far was by ourselves. And we will also learn how we can perfectly use our creativity with pairing with ChatGPT and other AI tools to be more perfect on our workspace. Okay, all right.